Hey everyone,
Hey,
How's-
thanks for coming.
how's day one of NFT.NYC going? All right, so solid 2.5 out of 5.
How's everyone's hangover? Yeah, whoa. Well, Michael will be joining us in a few moments, so we're just kind of stalling, but if you want to kind of kick it off.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think we could just do some quick intros, and then we can dive
Sure.
into the subject matter. So, hey guys, I am Jimmy. I am a product manager. I lead experiments at Aave. Some of you guys may have heard of it. I'm not Stani. I think a lot of you guys came to this panel thinking you'd see Stani, but you get me instead. So I'll try to be as interesting as possible. But so what we try to do, at least my team at Aave, is we're thinking about what is the kind of the frontier of a lot of the crypto primitives that we're building. And so when we look at DAO tooling, MEV, when we look at NFTs and DeFi, how do we kind of have POCs or proof of concepts in order to kind of test the waters of what we can push the boundaries of? And so I think a lot of you guys know Aave mainly as the liquidity protocol with kind of the double-sided markets. And also, if you guys have been keeping track on Twitter, you see that we're also building something in the NFT space with collateralization into that protocol and with social media. And so happy to at least touch upon some of those things in our time today. That's me.
Thank you. My name is Jae Heller. My background, I was the first hire at DraftKings and led business development and strategic partnerships before going on and consulting with various startups, including Sciatech, which is with the Nebulous team. If you're decentralized storage company back in 2016, it was founded. And more recently, beginning an NFT project of my own. My co-founders, we're all from Rapture Labs, but co-founders are the founders of Hootsuite, and we're working on a pretty neat project called DGen Capital Partners, which will have some gaming component to it, as well as metaverse build with which I can't see anyone, but if Spatial's out there, big shout out to Spatial. Yeah. And it's going to be a really great thing, and we're looking at, the NFT space is so new to everyone. I think companies, projects are really looking at how to structure with DeFi and bring the most value, how people, whether it's liquidity pools or staking or different projects. So I know the Bored Apes are starting with that, and they're kind of probably set the precedent. They're doing it the right way with the legal team behind them. So I'm happy to be here and talk upon this.
Well, let's wait until, as we wait for Michael to come, maybe we can just talk a little bit more about our respective projects and kind of that intersection between NFTs and DeFi. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of interesting because, at least from my perspective, I come from mainly a DeFi background, and now due to all of the craziness that happened this summer with JPEGs, that's become a huge narrative that we're kind of embodying as well in terms of the product roadmap. And then when I look at your background, it's more of the other way around, right? It's coming from gaming, thinking about NFTs as this, self-sovereign primitive that gamers and users can own, and then thinking about how do you add DeFi primitives on top of that, mm-hmm. which is pretty fascinating. And so I guess in the absence of a moderator, I'll play moderator for a hot sec. How do you think about using some of these DeFi primitives to enhance the experience that you're trying to do over at your company?
Good question. What do you mean by DeFi primitives?
Well, it's when we think about, so I can probably say from my perspective, and then it'll be as helpful. Hi.
Hey.
Here he is. Now we can get going.
Sorry about that. Ran a little bit late.
maybe we just did a quick round of intros. Maybe you want to introduce yourself, and
yeah.
then we can kind of dive into it.
Yeah. So I'm the co-founder of DeFi Summit. We started basically just having a lot more of a decentralized finance actually enter into the space. So a lot of people have been asking. So we actually do a lot of events and kind of like education, especially for decentralized finance and also NFTs as well.
Well, like basically, we're just talking about like we're coming from a few different perspectives. Like one is like you think about more of a gaming NFT background, and then how that relates to adding DeFi, and then when I think of my background over at Aave, and then your background as well, it's more of DeFi, and now we're considering more of like NFTs and culture and media and how that kind of relates to the primitives that we've built. And so, I mean, it's kind of just like a blanket question, like, what does it mean to like try to merge the two? Like, what kind of like problems are you tackling in that kind of realm?
With NFTs, if you guys think of the kind of like core basics of ERC's ERC 721s, is that it's the information that you can place onto the blockchain in any type of fashion. So if you're looking at like DeFi, you start getting more into, you can have an options contract with NFTs. Uniswap has already started Uniswap LPs with NFTs. So it really helps out by providing a lot more value for it as well. Insurance, you're looking at mortgages. There's so many ways and possibilities for NFTs to be integrated. It just depends on like the amount of data that you want to place into each one of those.
Yeah, I agree. And when we think about Aave, it's like, I think the best way to think about it is like thinking about it from like a user need perspective, where there are just so many new entrants into the crypto space. And so, I've been in the crypto space for about 5 years now, and like, for the majority of my career, it's been mainly on like finance. So it's like, how do you get yield? How do you kind of like combine these building blocks to create new financial services? But now there's a whole kind of like influx of folks that either are uninterested in that problem space, or they're more interested in kind of like content, media, which I totally understand, right? That's just like something that's more intuitive to everyone, myself included. But like, then you start to merge kind of the solutions that we've had in DeFi, where it's like, how do you have productive assets? How do you have, a great yield? How do you have risk management in a sound way? How do you have permissionless access to financial services? How do you add that to NFTs, right? And so that's kind of where we're coming from Aave. It's like, how do you hold a CryptoPunk, a Bored Ape? How do you hold some of these collectibles and art and actually like get liquidity from it in a way that you're not actually selling the underlying asset? And so that's kind of like something that we've been thinking about.
I think you touched upon something important, Jimmy, is when we think about security around DeFi. And yes, DeFi makes transactions, speeds up transactions, person to person share. There's so much positive around DeFi. The one main concern is with nailing security and getting that around it. I just, in one of my NFT communities, there was a member whose wallet was hacked, and he just lost 1.5, I think it was like 3 Bored Apes. It was terrible, and you feel bad for these people, but there's no way in really cracking down around that happening right now.
That's why there has to be more education about security as well. Like with NFTs, and like a lot of people are getting into the NFT space, but they're not securing themselves, especially even in DeFi as well. It's like we see hacks left and right, and we kind of see how the ecosystems are. A lot of rug pulls, a lot of projects that aren't going to make it. But at the same time, it's like protecting yourself with how he was saying risk management as well, making sure that you understand every aspect of it. And then even for, let's say you're going into a mint, or you're going into creating your own NFT. There's also other marketplaces that can be phishing networks that can kind of go on, and from there, you're trying to mint an item, but they take everything from your wallet. So with the kind of like another topic that you kind of crossed on earlier as well, is like having your NFT own something. So I think this is it's not part of Aave officially, but it's Aavegotchi with the ERC 1155s. So it basically integrates NFTs and also ERC 20s. So you can have your NFT own, UST, USD, USDC, and stuff like that. So like the integration for that already is like you add wearables to it. You can add kind of like different items on there as well. is that over time, it's going to start getting into the gamification system, and that's where DeFi and NFTs will really merge, especially around blockchain gaming as well.
I'd be curious to get your thoughts on like, I think gaming is like the forefront of kind of what we're tackling right now, and like how does that merge with like NFTs and even like maybe lightly like DeFi in a sense?
Well, gaming, in a sense, I mean, if you're talking about something like DraftKings, we recently saw them move to a Polygon platform and bring on Autograph, which is killing it right now. So I think there's a few different ways. I mean, there's a marketplace for, say, gaming collectibles. There's a way of, within games, tying rewards to, in real life, prizes, which is something we're building in DGen Capital Partners. As you move up different levels, floors will be unlocked, and they will tie into digital rewards as well as in real life rewards that correspond with the partnerships. So I think there's a huge opportunity for brands to come on board via partnerships through games and reach their consumers that way.
Yeah, I think with the games, especially around the DeFi aspect as well, it's like games is going to unlock the next billion users, right? Because everyone's right now, like everyone has a mobile phone, right? You guys probably have at least 1 or 2 games on there. But if you integrate a blockchain system like ERC 721 in the back and have it to where you can start rewarding players with NFTs for a mobile game, you now have onboarded a whole new wave of just people into crypto without them knowing it.
I think gaming is such a really awesome space that basically merges NFTs and DeFi in a very intuitive way. I think something that's very coupled with blockchain gaming is the idea of like user-owned or individual-owned assets and the ability to either port them or trade them cross-platform. And that sets up, that's pretty interesting because, when I think about like building games, it's very much like a one-sided economy where it's like, oh, you purchase, skins from Fortnite or, different unlockables from World of Warcraft. Like that's like something that you buy and you don't really like sell it anymore. But when you think about like what a two-sided economy brings and like the liquidity needed and like the fungibility needed across different assets, like that's where DeFi needs to come in because you need to like, you can't build that from scratch, right? You need to access the primitives that we've already built in order to have that liquidity. And so one company that I think is really interesting, thinking about actually like the economies of like blockchain gaming is like Forte. And it just like blows my mind how gigabrain they are. I'm just like, you do you, and I'm just gonna play your games. It's pretty fascinating because people don't really think about it, but like underneath the hood, it ultimately comes back to like these financial services that have been built in an open source way.
You mentioned World of Warcraft. Vitalik was banned from World of Warcraft, so that's why he started Ethereum. So you see like all these big companies having IPs like Fortnite and kind of like Epic and kind of, League of Legends and all these things, they have a walled garden that they're able to kind of monetize their economies. But over time, they're eventually going to get into the blockchain gaming stage because now users are asking for the data. They want to have ownership of assets. It's not about us demanding, it's what we deserve. So if we're already buying something for a game and you ban me from it, like I just spent thousands of dollars and I probably, spent a lot of time as well. But if I'm able to sell it on a secondary market, I might just say, hey, look, I'll just wash it off and I'll just go on to another game. But it's basically effectively taking your money and taking your liquidity and you're getting no value at it at the end.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, so like, and on one end, it's like we're thinking about like, okay, like NFTs that are getting financialized through these like DeFi primitives. The other end, you can look at it where it's like, how do NFTs, like, how do DeFi primitives become more like NFTs almost? So it's like, how do you leverage? So like one thing that comes to mind is like, when I think about a lot of these like NFT projects that almost look a lot like, for lack of a better word, like Olympus DAO. where it's like people are like buying, like head DAO, for example, right? People buy like these noun derivatives and they can like distribute profits between themselves. Or when you look at like nouns or Shark DAO or something like that, it's a pretty interesting exercise that like people are kind of like bilaterally unpacking like the mechanisms that we've built across both these previously very siloed kind of solution spaces in crypto.
I mean, like, just Uniswap alone was like, starting with the NFTs for their LP positions. Like, later on, you're going to start seeing, like how you said, DAOs, right? DAOs are going to be another main driving factor because you can be anybody and join a DAO. And then if you guys are all a collective and looking to buy art or looking to be a DAO for, anything else that's going to be providing for NFTs, now it's kind of like that DeFi is going to funnel into NFTs. And then from there as well, it's like all these assets, like everyone owns them. So also for kind of like the other DeFi side of it as well, options contracts, right? Everyone loves to trade. Everyone likes to get wrecked. Sometimes they hold on, sometimes they don't. But having an options contract, and then from there, they can effectively push, hey, this is the time that I'm going to have the strike or the call. And then it's just another financial product. But in the back end, it's actually pretty easy to kind of integrate with NFTs. So I think we'll start seeing the next wave of DeFi Summer 2.0 come up, especially when they start integrating a lot more of the NFT usabilities.
Yeah, I advise a DeFi 2.0 protocol right now, and they actually have options liquidity mining. And so instead of having like the underlying asset be distributed to you for having an LP position, you get like an option instead. And they're not integrated with like Open or anything yet. I think that's like very much V2 for them, but they created their own ERC 721s. And it's like, when you think about broadly, it's like you have fungible tokens, and then you have like very unique positions that you can have that still belong in some sort of financial way. You mentioned, Uni V3's LP position. So, yeah, I just see it all blurring together a lot. And then you see like, collateralizing your NFT to take a loan out against it with Bunchy. You see Genie, that's basically like a 1-inch, like an aggregator for NFT liquidity. Like they're not really that different to me anymore. Like I think it used to be like NFTs are art and DeFi are, whatever DeFi degens are, but it's like very much coupled now.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting time where you have finance merging with culture, right? So in bringing, where are they? Are they financial assets? Are they artwork? They're both. So yeah, it's, with when gaming comes into it, you have another world now merging. So it's just like this giant snowball of profit.
Remember, you can NFT anything, but not everything needs to be NFT'd, by the way. So it's like, if you want to have some of the things in, especially for DeFi as well, as like, let's say, for example, like a mortgage for a house. I think Aave was announcing that they were working to kind of create on-chain mortgages for houses like a while back. So can you kind of give us some alpha leaks about that, or?
I can give you a general answer.
Okay, that's good enough.
I think broadly the space is thinking about how you have real-world assets linked to these primitives that we've built. And so nothing obvious specific, but Centrifuge is like a really cool shop that's thinking about owning real-world assets and having them in some form of like fractionalization or collateralization on whatever kind of DeFi protocol. And so I think they've worked with Maker. I think they had like the RWA pool that came out I think maybe like April or May this year. And so that's a really cool space. I think when we think about problems like that, it's like more around like how does the community kind of tackle it in a lot of different ways and work together. And like all the kind of the blue chips have laid this like foundation that is composable and that anyone can access, right? And so how do you kind of shepherd the community in order to build that is kind of like the mindset that I take.
And then also for that too, it's like there's so many possibilities with that as well. Like once you guys release it out, it's basically if you have it for mortgages, you can actually make it as a fund. You can have it to where you actually rent it out to people. Now you actually start collecting liquidity from there, placing it back into Aave, getting more yield for it as well. Kind of bringing more into the ecosystem. But yeah, I think NFTs still have a long way to go because we're barely scratching the surface of it. And the kind of integration with DeFi is that it's just one of the small boundaries. You have to look at all across the different spectrums: art, fashion, music, gaming. There's, so many other things that are going to be being utilized for that too. So Yeah, I think the space right now is even back in 2018 when I was at the E3 blockchain gaming stage, it was a handful of people. It was like 15 people. Now it's like everyone's like, I know what an NFT is. So within the next 5 years, we're just going to 10x and just get bigger and bigger within the space.
Tweet about this morning, but ETH hit all-time high today, and
Woohoo!
and I think my favorite part about that is that no one talked about it. They're too busy talking about this conference, or they're talking about the new DAO launching, or they're talking about the new Olympus fork, right? Like, we're building, and that is the most interesting thing, and the price will come, but the price should not dominate conversation, not shooting shots at anyone.
We're all going to make it.
Yeah. It's so early too that even just speaking on, flash loans and having liquidity attached to those liquidity pools and all the ways you can finance your NFT, or it's a crazy time, but it's such an exciting time. I'm just happy to be part of it.
Speaking of flash loans, there was a recent one with one of the CryptoPunks.
I was gonna say that, yeah.
Yeah. They basically flash loaned in, purchased a CryptoPunk, and then flash loaned out. And that kind of messes up a lot of the markets, but we'll see. With like NFTs, you think of it this way. You think of NFTs as a representation of any type of data. Just keep that in your mind. Any representation of any type of data set that can be provided on the blockchain. And you look at the different use cases that are there. Like, you guys all in this room are here because you guys are going to build something. You guys are going to be within the space. You guys are going to push it forward. So if you guys are looking at DeFi, if you guys are looking at fashion, any vertical that you like to have, just push full forward and ignore the price. Just build.
On the flash loan piece, there was like an Ether Rocks party last night, and I sadly do not own a rock, but I thought like maybe I could build a script where I flash loan and buy an Ether Rock and then sign the transaction to get a ticket and then sell it. But I was too lazy and not smart enough.
You should have taken my ticket. I fell asleep before.
Well, I'm glad we're friends now.
That'd be pretty cool though. You flash loan an item to enter into the event, and then right afterwards, it's gone. Like, it goes right back and redirects back. Yeah, we're very early. There's a lot of new technology that's gonna require some time before everyone gets out all the kinks and everything. But one day we'll have it to where it's like, hey, look, 5-minute verification that you actually own it for 5 minutes, and then you get to be able to purchase it. But yeah, flash loans, just I love them and I hate them because they wreck everything, but they also make everything better. Find the exploits, find out which areas of your contracts are wrong and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say I would agree that like there's a place in everything in the ecosystem. Sandwich bots and MEV and flash loans and stuff like that. I do see a world where it's like eventually like we can like leverage those kind of like the kind of crazier, more interesting topics in the space into some sort of middleware for people to take advantage of.
Yeah, if you guys are all here, remember, we're all gonna make it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Jay, Michael, and Jimmy. A round of applause. Come on, you guys. We've been sitting here. Look at this. You guys, you know what? I have to say, Michael, I think that is the fastest that anybody has got through security at the Palladium ever. He was getting
crazy.
out of the cab. I think they patted him down and whisked him off. I think you even came on here faster than I've seen Whitney Houston ever come into any stage. So I would like to say you're probably the Whitney Houston of NFTs. Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
I bolted in here.
If you have any questions, please feel free. If it's okay, I'm inviting them to talk to you outside in the lobby. If they find you, we do have some swag that's out there. You guys know that everything here that you can pick up on the way. But please ask our panelists anything outside in the lobby. Thank you so much again for being here.
We love swag.
We love swag.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Jimmy.